and welcome to our first episode of Debunking Myths and Ending Stigmas. Make sure you stick around until the end because we play a little fun game of Would You Rather. I am Miranda Jones, the marketing manager for NAMI Tennessee, and today I am sitting here with the new 2024 Miss Memphis Teen, Precious McCroy. How are you doing today, Precious?
I am good. How are you, Miss Miranda?
Really good, other than this rain. I'll be excited to see the sun, but today I am doing good, and I just want to thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
So to start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I want to know how you ended up here as Miss Memphis Teen, and then also why are you so passionate about mental health? And I want you to be as vulnerable or as reserved as you want to be. I want to make sure that you feel comfortable.
Yes, ma'am. Well, hi. My name is Precious, of course. And not only am I Miss Memphis Teen for 2024, I am also regular run-of-the-mill student. But this is the other side. So this is like my Hannah Montana of my life. But I am born and raised in Memphis. This was my first time competing in a pageant. And this was always something I used to dream of when I was a little kid because my grandmother and my uncle sewed. So I used to see them make different things for different pageants. And I told my uncle when I was young, one day you're going to be helping me with my dress for my pageant. You're going to make my dress. And lo and behold, the dress that I ended up wearing, he didn't make it, but he helped alter it. And it was from my very first pageant. So I got into pageants through. Not only did I grow up on toddlers and tiaras, I grew up on dance moms like everybody else. But this is something I had always seen, but wanted to do, but never could. So I'm happy that I'm here now.
And then tell us a little bit about why are you so passionate about mental health?
Mental health is important no matter who you are. But I feel like not only because I've struggled, but because I see other people my age, people in my family, my friends, struggle with some of the same things, and they aren't getting as much attention as they need. If anyone else won't speak out about it, someone has to. Why not that someone be me?
And do you mind sharing with us a little bit about some of the struggles that you've dealt with in your life?
Yes, ma'am. I grew up in a very dysfunctional household. I was raised by my grandmother, and she was already up in age by the time I was born. So there's already the big age gap there. But some of her ways that she tried to instill in me, most of them stuck. But guaranteed, it just shaped me into everybody's auntie or everybody's grandma. So I can appreciate that. So she was a big disciplinarian. Discipline is perfectly fine to a certain extent, to the point where you have to put your hands on somebody that's not in an appropriate fashion, then that's when it becomes a problem to me. Because I already don't like people touching me if it's like not like a hug or whatever. So I feel like that affected me like growing up, because it went on for a certain amount of time and got worse as I got older. Because I was raised with my brother and sister in the house, and I saw them get beat almost every day, strictly because my mother and my grandmother did not have a very good relationship growing up. I do remember, and one thing always sticks with me, she always told me that she wants to be able to see me graduate and walk across stage. Sadly, she won't be here to witness that, but nonetheless, I know that it's okay. I know that what I'm doing now, and with my graduation coming up, I know she'd be proud.
Yeah, of course. I mean, parents and grandparents, they don't realize how much they do to us as child, and we bring that into our adult life. And
right.
We know they mean it all out of love. And my husband actually just wrote a song about how everyone's living their first life, and we expect more out of our parents, like they've lived life before, and they're still learning just as much as we are. As we talked a little bit before this interview, and you talked a little bit about your mother and your cousin. Do you want to go into a little bit detail about that?
Yes, ma'am. So I'll start with my cousin. Now, I was born here, but for a while I was living with my grandmother, because she had a lot of health issues, I ended up having to stay with my auntie, and she stayed in Louisville, Kentucky. So I grew up in between Jackson, Memphis, and Louisville, but mainly Louisville and Memphis. And I stayed with my cousin and my brother one of my brothers while he lived in Louisville as well. And they argued all the time, mind you. Although him and my brother didn't get along, they were like brothers, but I was more like his little sister than anything. So we kind of grew up together. We knew that he had been having some issues, but his mom didn't know how to handle that, and my grandmother didn't either. So she always played it off as, oh, he's trying to get attention. He's doing this to get your attention. And even though that might be a factor, it should never be dealt with as just trying to get someone's attention. So he had been in and out of these really bad headspaces. My auntie would call my grandmother crying, and it went on for a while. But the last time I can remember the last time that I saw my cousin alive was at my grandmother's funeral, the day before I turned 16. I did not know that would be the last time I would see him, which makes it even more bittersweet. But I remember it was in February of 2022. I was a sophomore, just trying to get back after the New Year's. I was washing dishes, and my AirPods started going off, muting the music because I was getting text messages. And it's my cousin, and he had been trying to get in contact with me, but I was very busy considering I was still an athlete. I had just gotten surgery, so I was already going through a lot myself.
Mm-hmm.
But the text message said, "I love you." And immediately I knew something was not right, because there's a difference between "I love you" and then "I love you" flat out. I can, some people, you know how they say you can't read a tone in text? I can.
Sometimes you can.
But I knew something very, very wrong. And we had texted for a while. I called his mom. I called my auntie. I'm talking, calling to pick up the phone. Eventually she picked up, and she said words that I didn't even want to hear her say. She said, "Go to bed. Don't worry about it. He'll be okay." I did not sleep at all that night. And it was kind of scary. And then my dad, he was like, "It's about your cousin." I'm like, "Yes." And he was like, "He didn't make it." And for some reason, I of course, knowing that somebody close to you died, I found myself wanting to cry, but I couldn't. I had already done all the worrying that I could have the night before. So eventually, we rounded up the family, went back to Louisville, and my auntie was heartbroken. It's my heart hurt for her. But that kind of brings me back to when I was in middle school and staying with my grandmother. My relationship with my mother and my grandmother has always been very, very strained, especially with my grandmother. But I still developed a relationship with my mother nonetheless, and got to know her myself as I grew older. And of course, as I got older, I had to forgive them, not necessarily for them, but for me, because that would have been, it's real heavy on my heart. So my mom always told me, forgiveness is for you.
And for such a young age, I give you so much respect and kudos for being able to, not to move past it, because, it's always going to be a part of you, but how you can turn around and use that for good. And so I, just want to thank you for sharing your story. And in that part you said about finding ways to forgive for yourself. I read this book, and there's a whole chapter just on guilt and how pointless it is. Humans, we think that we need to feel guilty when we've messed up. It doesn't undo what you did. The other person doesn't know whether you feel guilty or not. So you're not really helping them either. So being able to just recognize, hey, I messed up. I'm going to learn from this, and I'm going to move forward, because there's no use feeling this. All I'm doing is hurting myself. I'm not actually helping anyone or the situations. When it comes to mental health, there are a lot of misconceptions, as we talked about before. Is there one in particular that just really bothers you?
One that particularly really irks my nerves is that mental health is only limited to a certain gender, age limit, or race. Something that my grandmother used to always tell me when I first told her, hey, I might be depressed. You're too young to be depressed. You don't have anything to be depressed about. You don't have anything to worry about. You're too young for this, da 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 da. I grew up hearing that so much from a bunch of different people. Guaranteed these people were older than me, but that made me realize how that was not a normal feeling for them, but they didn't recognize it. They thought, oh, I'm just crying. I'm sad. I'll be okay. But when you're sad day by day, week after week, something is not right. That's why I hate when people just say like, oh, you have this, this, and this. You can't be depressed. Material things don't matter at the end of the day. You feel how you feel at the end of the day. The material things can go away at any time. You live with you. You stuck with you. So you have to be able to manage your emotions and be able to recognize, hey, I don't feel too hot. So that's something I really don't like when people say like, oh, you can't be depressed.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Like, I hate that we can openly talk about when we were sick. You had a cold, or if you had the flu, and if you went to a doctor for that, or if you ate soup for that. People openly talk about it, but then when it comes to doing things for your mental health, like seeing a therapist regularly, or writing in a journal, or whatever it is that's going to help you improve your mental health, it's kind of still stigmatized and shunned, right. And they're embarrassed. So I'm looking forward to kind of progressing society to where we're able to talk about it as openly as we talk about anything else. And there's a lot of different therapies out there that people can use. There's talk therapy when you talk to your therapist, or group support, music therapy. There's now these electromagnetic waves that you can use. But can you tell us about a time that you used a specific type of therapy, and how did it help you through a difficult time?
I have always been a music person. My brother used to write music. He used to play guitar. I remember the first guitar I got, before it was completely decommissioned by a younger me. I just used to hear him play on it and hear him play a bunch of different songs. And I ended up growing up to write songs, and what inspired me was, while I was quote unquote in the struggle, because a bunch of people they look at me now and they're like, that didn't happen to you. I used to write about how I felt and what I was going through in my music, and poetry. I used to try to write books. I've been a writer pretty much my whole life. And that's one way that I can get my emotions out clearly. If I can't say it, I'm going to write it down for sure.
You like writing? That's your therapy, the writing journals?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, this was a gift for Christmas last year from one of my friends. And I am almost done with all of the pages. So it's going to be time to get a new one soon. It just broke, so I'm very upset about that. But this is my best friend. Anytime I feel like, okay, my brain's starting to get a little heavy, we're going to take a while, figure it out, and I feel so much better. I was having a bad night once, and I wrote about 3 to 4 pages front to back and slept like a baby after that.
I do the same. When I start getting in these ruts where I'm just not sleeping very, very great for a few nights in a row, and I know oh, you know what? I've written in my journal in a little while, and I have a few of those filled, just kind of sitting around. I don't know if I should burn them or keep them or.
I've been thinking about that, but at the same time, I want to look back and see.
Yeah.
I want them to be like a keepsake. So like 3 years, I can just. I wonder what I was talking about back then.
No, I've done that recently. And I look back and I will say I do write a little bit more to get things off my chest. So there probably is more negative. I know if I was to pass away and my family was to read this, they'd probably think my life was a lot worse than it was. But reading back, I was able to see how far I've come, or things that I've been able to get through. I hate saying get past, because like I said, there'll always be a part of you, but be able to just be in a better place. It is nice to look back. Yeah. So speaking specifically about music therapy, because this is becoming, even more popular, and realizing how much it can really help, and how crazy it is that songs can make us feel something so deeply and so instantly. And sometimes you don't even need words. Literally just a few notes on a guitar or a piano
It
can
can
just make you,
hit you right there.
yeah, it can hit you right there. Perfectly said. What are some songs or maybe an artist that have really either helped you through a difficult time or something that you've heard and you just instantly could just feel it and relate to it?
I'll take you to the like music I listened to like around the time I lived in Louisville for like 3 months, maybe. I am a nerd. I'm a video game nerd. We all know about the game Five Nights at Freddy's, and there was this artist that wrote songs to tack on to the story because it's a very traumatic story if you look past all the other stuff. And his name was Nathan Sharp. He's like alternative music. So like one thing I like about my music taste is it's extremely versatile. And he wrote this song called Home. Not only does it make me cry, but like almost every song off of that specific album about that game, I can relate to my general life. And it's kind of weird because like other people like it's a game about a bear. What's the issue? I'm like, you're listening, but you're not listening. So I actively related that to those 3 months I was gone. Like that was all I listened to. And it's like a journey of being not only just a tortured soul, but trying to cry for help, but you feel like you can't. More recently, I've been listening to a lot of Hosier. A song called Take Me to Church was released. If you've heard Take Me to Church, then you know who Hosier is. But more recently, all of his is extremely good. Not especially like in the way it sounds, of course, but the lyrics and his voice and how he conveys them is just like, whoa. But the song I've been listening to of his a lot is called All Things End. And I actually ended up showing it to my mom and she liked it. It's more about like recognizing and realizing that everything is going to come to an end at some certain point in time, where there's something good, where there's something bad. And it's like you're not only are you speaking to my soul. I remember like around the time we were preparing for the pageant and I had already started school around this time. And I'm usually the type of person that in class, one and done, same class period, turn it in, next. And I had not been doing so good because like a bunch of stuff had started piling up on me. I was working really hard and putting a lot of strain on my mind and my body. And that wasn't very good. And I ended up having a panic attack at school. I'm talking like hearing things, hallucinations. It wasn't very good. But listening to that song, it calms me down. And I feel like every time I'm going through a certain situation, that song always finds a way to play. And that's just it's not weird, but it makes me appreciate it even more because I can tie it to a whole bunch of things.
Oh yeah. I struggled with panic attacks a lot. Back in college, I was having them almost every single night. And I've learned, one, I'm in a better place, and two, I've learned to, most of the time I can kind of understand what they are, and that helps with the fear and can kind of help push them away. But one thing that's actually very strange that really helps, and I've told my mom and my dad and my sister, anybody that says that they've had a panic attack, I tell them next time, try ginger ale. I know it sounds crazy, but if you have some ginger ale, it always seems to help. I don't know what it is,
I love ginger ale.
but yeah, so they thought I was crazy at first, but now they've tried it and they're like, man, you know what? You're right. So if you ever having another panic attack or anybody that's watching, try ginger ale and hope it helps you as much as it does me. But I want to take a minute. Yeah, definitely try it. So I want to take a minute and kind of step away from mental health for a minute. I know we've gotten a little deep and really gotten to know you a lot. But we want to get to know you a little bit more on a different level. I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite book or your favorite TV show? But knowing that you like to write now, so do you like books or TV or writing best?
That's kind of a hard one, but knowing that I am trying to read more books because like as time goes on, a lot of people don't read like books anymore. And to be fair, I am one of those people, but New Year's resolutions, we're trying to get out of that. But I've read one of my favorites that I've read recently is Homebody by Rupi Kaur, and I have pages saved that like hit so close to home. I'm like, oh my god. But as for like my favorite TV show, I like older TV shows, like coming from not only my like younger days, if I should call them that, but one that I can watch all day, every day is most definitely Criminal Minds. I was raised on crime drama, so
yeah, that's very, very trendy. I think a lot of people watch that. Yeah, no, I've never really enjoyed reading. I make myself try to read 10 pages a night. Doesn't always happen. But when it comes to TV, Friends is just that's my go-to.
Friends.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's my comfort. When I like watching movies when I'm ready for something new, but when it comes to just needing to decompress or feel comforted, Friends is definitely my go-to. Okay, so now if you are ready, we'll play our little game of Would You Rather. And so just so the audience knows, she has not seen any of these questions, and I don't want you to overthink them. I'm just gonna tell you the question and just whatever pops to mind first, and then the audience, you as well, if you want to leave down in the comments below, you can tell us your answers. So there's 10, and then there's a bonus one if we get to it as well. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Would you rather dance in the kitchen or sing in the shower?
Considering I do both of those things, I'd most likely say sing in the shower, because I love to dance, but singing, it solves problems.
So do you prefer to be vulnerable or to be strong? Both equally important, but which one do you prefer?
I prefer to be strong.
Okay. All right. Oatmeal or grits?
Oatmeal. I hated grits.
I thought maybe with you being a southerner, like you'd go grits, but
yeah, like that's what a lot of people think. Just because I'm from the South, that means I like a whole bunch of traditional southern dishes. That's not the case. My parents are from Jackson, so there's that country. I'm from the city. I like oatmeal. I've never had grits.
Well, this one might be a little bit more difficult. Pizza or tacos?
Pizza.
Okay. Mountains or ocean?
I have a fear of heights and a fear of water. So, but
so neither?
I wouldn't necessarily say neither, but I have to pick mountains, because driving through Tennessee is what you see a lot of here.
Yeah, I do really, really enjoy the mountains. Okay, Taylor Swift or Olivia Rodrigo?
Taylor Swift.
Okay, cats or dogs?
Oh my God, I saw a cat on the way home today. I've only had one pet, and that was a dog, so I'm going to say dogs.
Okay, I had a feeling you were going to say dog. Okay, so would you rather have a dog that could fly you anywhere, anytime that you wanted, or you could have a dog that could grant you wishes, but only once a month?
Dog with the wishes.
With the wishes? Okay. Okay, so have you seen the movie Click with Adam Sandler? I know it might be a little bit...
No.
Okay. So this might actually be a good movie for you to watch as well, with some stuff that you dealt with in your past. But some people say it's just a really good representation of addiction. So Adam Sandler, he has a remote for his life that he can fast forward and rewind time as he likes. And I won't give any more details. If you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. But if you could either rewind time to fix a past mistake or fast forward to a perfect time in your life, which one would you choose?
Ooh, I'd say fast forward, because the path that I took to get here in my past was extremely rocky. So if I fix something, I might fix the wrong thing and change something. So I wouldn't want to do that.
Okay. All right. So I checked a little bit of your Instagram, and your social media, which we'll get to that in a second. But you're a little bit of a fashionista, so I wanted to ask you, would you rather wear clothes made of bubble wrap or clothes made of duct tape? Before you answer, neither one of them are going to be see-through, so you don't have to worry about bubble wrap being see-through. Neither one are see-through. And I want you to really visualize yourself in these outfits. Which one would you rather have, bubble wrap or duct tape?
When I think of duct tape, I think of Lady Gaga and the telephone.
Okay.
But bubble wrap, I just think of it as like a safety hazard. And I'm very clumsy. So I might go with the bubble wrap.
Okay. I think the bubble wrap would be fun. I mean, if you get bored, you just start popping your
Pop, pop. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's the bonus question. If you could earn $1 million a year, but you have to work 60 hours a week, or would you rather earn only $40,000 a year, but you're only working 20 hours a week? And you can't go and get a second job. This is your only source of income. So would you rather work more and get paid more, or work less and get paid less?
Wow. I'm not gonna lie. The million sounds tempting, but no. And I did the little internal calculations that's about. I'm a heavy sleeper, and I like to sleep. I like my rest, so I'm gonna just say work less and get paid less. Because eventually,
Okay.
if you smart enough, it's gonna add up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I would agree. Like having that money would be nice. I think having my time to do what I want would be nicer.
Don't overexert yourself. I learned that the hard way. That is not what you want to do.
No, I agree. All right, well, that concludes the game. So thank you so much for letting us into the mind of Precious McCroy. We really appreciated it. And viewers, don't forget to let us know your answer in the comments below. So like I said, we are always looking for ways to try to get youth more involved into mental health and advocacy, volunteering. What would you say to your peers to try to get them more involved?
It would most definitely be a small conversation at first. Like, have you ever felt a certain way that you feel like you can't tell anybody else, or not even your parents, your brother, sister, your friends? And if so, would you be open to talking to me about it? And then it'd probably be a matter of not only answering any questions that they might have, pointing them in the right direction, like where their mind should go instead of where it's trying to go.
So I love that you were wanting to help people get more involved by being personal and just kind of that one-on-one, and you personally helping them kind of understand how they can share their story to help others. So I love that you want to do that on a more personal level. But is there anything that you would kind of say to the general audience to kind of help them, feel the urge to get more involved?
Well, I would most likely draw a comparison to how somebody might be feeling bad at the time, and they would want somebody to reach out and help them. So extend that to somebody else. So that could possibly be a cycle that you could keep going. Well, if you help people, help people. Like, that saying, hurt people. Well, if you help people, they can help people.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's great. I know a lot of people that have had some very, very tough times. And speaking of friends, I read Matthew Perry's book, and he talks about how much, the only time he was really happy is when he was helping people. If you haven't read that, I would recommend it. It's very, very eye-opening, but make sure that you are kind of mentally and emotionally prepared for what you're about to read, because realizing that there's people out there that struggle the way that he did is, it's very sad, and it can really get to you.
Tell me that you always look so happy, you always look so content, you always look so this. I would have never expected that coming from you. Sometimes it's these people that need the most help. I'll just say that.
Yeah, people that have been through a lot, we know what it's like, and we don't want anybody else to, feel what we have felt. So I get that. Okay, so Precious, where can they find you if they want to either learn more or they want to collaborate with you?
On my personal Instagram, it is at Brianna McCroy, BreannaMccroy. And if you're looking for more of my pageant-related activities, you can go on Instagram to Miss Memphis Teen, TN. And also on Facebook, Miss Memphis Teen 2024, Precious McCroy.
So I'll make sure I include the links with the video, but can you explain why it's Brianna, not Precious?
That is something I had to explain to a friend as well. I've always been insecure about my first name, considering I was adopted, so I got my name changed.
Okay.
But it changed, but we just took some of the stuff out and then changed my last name. I had a mouthful for my name last time, but it meant something. It was just a lot on me. And that makes me like think, okay, you're presenting yourself as this, but this is who you are. I feel like me getting some closer to my current name is kind of a way of me stepping into the person I'm about to become, like personality wise and career wise. Anybody who knows Precious, they think of the movie, and that's what I've constantly been compared to that. And watching the movie, that was depressing.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's just it's a part of your journey. Do you have any questions for me, or do you have any questions for the audience that they can answer in the comments?
The question you asked me, if you saw somebody struggling and wanted to help them, how would you go about it? Because many people can go about the same task a million different ways and end up still getting the job done. I want to know how most people would go about something like that.
Yeah, and I think you really, hit it head on with the being personal. As much as we can try to just kind of get everybody with one sentence, it's not going to work that way. Everybody has different stories and are in a different place. NAMI is very big on meeting people where they are, figuring out where they are on a personal level. Some people are going to need a little bit more of that one-on-one connection to get them comfortable, sharing their story and making a difference. And then there's some people that are ready and just don't know where to go. So I would definitely agree to that. But yes, audience, if you have any suggestions or have different answers, feel free to include them. So is there anything else that you would like the audience to know before we wrap this up?
Be kind. Like,
yes.
Like the way that everything is going, it just takes so much out of somebody to intentionally be negative. And I was bullied growing up. If you make me mad, that's a whole different cadence. That's why I try to stay out of certain situations, because I know how I can get when I'm upset. Not necessarily the Hulk, but you wouldn't want to see that. So I try to stay as cordial and nice as I can. I'm always nice to everybody. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. I'm nice. Yeah. It pays a lot to be kind.
Yeah. Yeah, and what you said about, when you get angry, I think that's when people have the hardest time, and especially post-COVID, people are they're very angry, they're very on edge. Everybody feels like you have to watch out for yourself even more than before. So I think, obviously just in general trying to be kind, but I think one thing that everyone needs to work on is, even when you are angry, try to take that second to cool, because guess what? Everyone else is angry too, and the only way to make this better is treating the anger with kindness, treating the darkness with light, all those sayings are there for they're cliches for a reason, right?
And they're true for a reason.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you so much, Miss Memphis Teen. Congratulations on your big victory, and thank you again for your time today, for sharing, again, being your age and already being able to know how to use your story and be willing to be vulnerable enough to share it with us. That's huge. So thank you so much for this. So this will be sent out in our next newsletter, along with other updates, resources, and success stories. So be sure to subscribe, because everybody likes good success stories, right?
You do, most certainly.
So for anyone that would like to learn more, you can feel free to check out our website, namitn.org. That will be down in the description below. And for youth specifically, we have a website, Teen Mental Health. So that is teenmh.org. Again, that will be down in the description below. Or if you want information on becoming a speaker yourself and sharing your story, you can check out NAMI Next Gen. That is also on our website. All right. Well, thank you again, and thank you to the viewers, and goodbye.
Bye.